Wake up, dumbass! Yes, you did it again, didn't you? You tied one too many on, now you're paying the ultimate price. I'm your Uncle Dave, the Conquistador Dave Height, along with...
I'm your Uncle Kev, the Maestro Kevin Crane. Your Uncle Dave's absolutely right. As we stand over you, watching you as you writhe in pain.
Not
with
really.
the tom-tom drums pounding on your temples.
It's June 1st, 2024. We're taping this May 29th. Get your coffee going, fire up the eggs and bacon. You know the drill. Pop a couple aspirin.
It's your Saturday morning hangover cure. Your Uncle Dave and your Uncle Kev are going to give you the best in music, TV and streaming, movies, books. We'll even, I believe, have a ample supply of pop culture dumbasses to go through this week.
Because we are your politically incorrect pop culture extravaganza. Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition.
Now, of course, with music, we always start off with music.
Because what's life about?
Rock and roll, baby. In 2 weeks, your next concert review, by the way. Styx, Foreigner, and John Waite. But for now, part 2 of our review of the brand new Collective Soul double album, Here to Eternity. Now, your Uncle Dave got mad at me last week because I dared to say I might have listened to the second half.
Premature listen.
Yep. They have a blue pill for that. So we are going to review tracks 11 through 20 on Here to Eternity. And then, going back to last week, we will give you a full review summation of all 20 songs on Collective Soul's brand new double album.
Yep. So it starts off this bit with Keep It On Track,
which I liked.
I enjoyed this one. I think I liked this one of the second half the most. And
I can't argue with that. It's close for me, but I can't argue with that.
There's a couple others that are pretty good, but this one, it kind of had another I've heard this song before. It had that World I Know feel to it.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing because we're in a way arbitrarily we're splitting the album in half. We did 1 through 10, now we're doing 11 through 20. We're treating it as a double album, even though technically it fits on one CD.
Yeah, go figure.
But yeah, just like Mother's Love, the first song on the first disc, if you want to call it that, first LP, kind of sounded like a little bit of a recycled Where the River Flows. I completely agree that this one had a very familiar old Collective Soul feel to it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, every group gets into, they have their vibe.
And as long as you don't overdo it, it's fine.
Right.
Once in a while,
and
it's
vary
acceptable.
It up enough. But,
yep.
But this was definitely, you had that feel. Then we move on to Who Loved, or Who Loves. Okay. Just okay.
Yeah. You're being generous. I hate to do this, I would almost lump songs 12 through 16 together and just say too similar, too sunny, too poppy.
I would almost go through 19.
Yeah, I would say there's one exception there, but I could see that. 18 or 19?
I would definitely go through 18.
Okay.
19 is borderline.
See, I would say, okay, Who Loves, La-Di-Da.
Oh, La-Di-Da is the worst of this run.
Burning on the Day, Words Away, No Man's Land are all just very, very average mediocre
Was it
collective.
just me, or did Bring on the Day remind you of something that the Talking Heads would have done?
Dave, are you trying to allude to something we're going to talk about later?
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe a little bit in the latter years
Yeah.
when they got a little bit away from the new wave and got a little bit more into the Sunny Poppy
Yeah.
and She Was type of
Uh-huh.
stuff.
It had that complete vibe, the way that he's singing.
Now, I will say, it sounds like we're going to have a little bit of a dispute on a couple songs towards the end. I thought Letter from E was pretty good.
It
Even
was
though
all right.
it's got the strings, it's got the piano. I love the chorus. I thought maybe it was just because I had gone through so much mediocrity through the last 5 songs.
But it still continued on with the same musical theme. This is where I think you'd mentioned he seems to have been taking over more. Ed Roland was taking more control, and it's obvious here the rest of the band needed to step in and smack him upside the head and say, "We need to change this up."
Yeah, because you really do not hear a lot from the rest of the band. There are a couple decent guitar solos scattered in the second half here and there.
But few and far between.
Words Away and I Know You, You Know Me, track 18 have some decent guitar, but that's it.
Yeah, but still, they pretty much sound one morphs into the other. There's really not a lot of variance.
Now, I did like the final 2 songs. I did like Therapy.
Oh, Therapy was really good.
And then I did, even though it's a little mellow, I thought Over and Out was a really solid song to close the album out with.
Yeah, Over and Out.
Now, I was expecting a rocker. When I saw that title,
I thought, oh, this is going to be the one that kicks in. It didn't.
but it's still good.
It's still good. You could definitely have morphed this double into probably a 12 song.
David, in my hot little hand, I have this piece of paper.
You have
here.
what I just said.
Now, I did not sequence it, but I went back to last week, and I have looked at this week, and I have, narrowed Here to Eternity down to 12 songs. Let's see if you agree with me.
Okay.
You probably will not, or at least...
We'll see. Let me flip back to my previous week's notes as well.
All right, I will take 8 of the 10 off the first half.
Okay.
I will take Mother's Love.
Yes.
We have our dispute about Bluer Than So Blue, but I'm still taking it.
I will put it there. That's fine.
I'll take Let It Flow.
Absolutely.
I'll take Not the Same.
Yep.
We're getting rid of the hippie crap.
Oh, screw you, Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan goes away. I'll take Hey Man, Kick It. I'll keep Matter of Fact, and I will keep Sister and Mary. It's just so goofy.
It's that upbeat,
different.
goofy thing.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that.
Okay, so those are the 8 I keep off the first half. Then I take 4 off the second half. I will Keep It on Track.
Yes.
I now will have to dispute here, maybe Letter from E. I will take Therapy and Over and Out. Those are the 12 I take.
I would take Bring on the Day instead of Letter from E.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Pretty damn close.
Yeah. But definitely in agreement that this would have been a very, very good single collective soul album.
Yes. And if the other stuff, Ed should have done a solo project.
I don't even know if I agree with that.
Because obviously all that stuff was more him.
Right,
versus the rest, but it wouldn't have been a good solo
That's what
project.
I'm saying. It wouldn't have been a good solo album. So let's give our grades for the first part of this. The second half of Here to Eternity, I would have to give a week 2 Frenzies to.
For the second half?
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
For sure.
overall, even if we can't take Ed Roland and beat him upside the head with a baseball bat and tell the rest of the band members to step up and start asserting yourself because you're going to turn into Mark Knopfler or Sting or all the other crap that we've talked about incessantly week after week.
To me, No Man's Land was very Knopfler-esque. Glad you brought that up.
And it's the typical religious references that everybody says, well, Collective Soul is a Jesus band. And then they do nothing to dispute it when they do all the references they do, like in No Man's Land.
Yeah.
But I will give the entire project, all 20 songs, the double album, a very weak 3 Frenchies.
Very weak 3. I am in agreement with you on that.
Yep. The first half, obviously, much better, much more fun, much more diverse.
Yes.
And you've got that massive rut from 12. You say 12 through 18. I would agree, except for Letter for Me. It's just the same poppy. And we talked last week about how Ed Roland not only seems to be taking over, but he's letting his 60s love of 60s hippie music influence the band too much. We didn't get nearly enough in these 20 songs.
We did not have classic Collective Soul.
No. Maybe 3 or 4 of these songs harken back to that sound.
Yeah. That we enjoy so much.
Yep. And we'll be seeing them in concert later this year, so hopefully we get Mother's Love and Bluer Than So Blue, and that's it, and then we get the old stuff.
Maybe keep it on track.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That would be fine as well. But
we're going to get fucking Bob Dylan. Where are you today?
No, God damn it, no. No. I will turn my back on Ed Roland if he does that. I will. And he can look at my magnificent bald spot on the back of my head. And if I'm wearing the pineapple shirt, he can go, well, the swinger there is obviously in disagreement with me on my hippy dippy Bob Dylan song. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Because I will turn my back on him.
Amen to that one.
If he plays Bob Dylan,
I am going to the bathroom. Maybe on the stage.
Yes, there you go.
Take a nice, healthy one right there, front and center.
Yep, I will pull a Jack Black. I will drop trowel and drop a Cleveland steamer right there on the stage.
That's what we think of this song.
It's just shame, though, because with all the albums over the last few years we've reviewed, we seem to have a very common theme.
Oh my God.
Where these bands are in a creative rut and they put together one album and it's really only got 5 good songs. And now Collective Soul could have put together one really good single album and they decide, no, we've got enough for 2. No, you don't.
You don't.
No, you don't.
You weren't even close.
You could have put together a great, great single album. And you chose, nope. You flew too far into the sky, too close to the sun, Icarus.
Icarus or Dickarus, if you go back to the league.
I miss the league so much.
Yeah, good times. But we still have 2 songs.
I'll let you pick which one you want to go with first.
Let's go with the most disappointing concert we had over the last several years.
I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So that would be Bon Jovi. The second single off Forever is Living Proof.
This was better.
I told you it was better.
Yeah. I liked this one better.
But this kind of did what we were just alluding to with Collective Soul and Keep It on Track.
Right.
This uses the old Bon Jovi tricks. The voice box. He's got to throw that in. It's got the same pace.
But it's going back, which is the stuff we enjoyed. This is the stuff why we started listening to them.
Yep, and there are some good lyrics in there.
There are some really good lyrics.
Can
The
a rose
music
grow
is
through broken concrete? And
yeah,
I have,
musically it's solid.
but I still think we're covering old ground here with him.
We are.
And I will admit, I will fully admit, I am biased right now, 100% against John Bon Jovi. And yes, it can
A
stem,
lot of it comes from the bullshit concert we had to endure.
and I, even more than you, am bitter because you have not watched the Bon Jovi documentary where he admits the Indianapolis show in particular was a piece of garbage.
He calls it out specifically.
Oh, he says, yeah, the lipstick on the pig was smeared, is what he says about Indianapolis.
Fucking douchebag. I want my goddamn money back.
Yep. He admits, without saying it as much, but he admits that Indianapolis show was a disaster. But he admits going out on that tour was a mistake because his vocal cords were shot. And they had been shot for years and years and years.
Then you just hang it up. Put the ego away.
Because that's why we're hearing they might never tour again.
And that would be the right thing to do.
It's not like he needs the money. What you should do is do what's best for not only you, okay, take care of yourself, pretty boy, but don't screw the fans over again like you screwed us over. Now, that being said, I agree with you to a point about Living Proof, but I can't give it a wholehearted recommendation. I will say it's 2.5 frenzies.
Yeah, that's where it belongs.
That's a borderline. That's where I would say the Bon Jovi diehards out there will love it, like you. Those of us on the fence,
it's a 2.5.
It's not going to win us over.
It's a 2.5. But it was a vast improvement from the first one.
Yes.
But that's not saying much.
Legendary was just, so generic.
A legendary disaster.
It's just generic. So generic. Literally, a 4th grader could have wrote those lyrics on a napkin during lunch.
And then blew his nose in it.
Yep.
Now, You Got Lightning.
Now, this is a little different one. This is not a released song yet. This is a video clip of a new song.
I watched the video clip on the boat, and I also watched in concert that somebody had taped it not that long ago.
Oh, I did not see this.
Yes.
Very good.
So somebody in concert, they go, you guys want to hear a new song? Let me tell you a story behind it. So you get a little bit.
Oh, your Uncle Dave with breaking news for me.
Yes. So you need to go and watch this clip from
his YouTube page?
It was, no, I just had looked up.
Oh, probably somebody
Roger
posted
Klein.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
somebody posted it.
I'll find it.
Somebody posted it. It's like over 6.5 minutes.
Okay.
Because he gives a little tale.
Well, that's how I initially heard, going back to Collective Soul, that's when I initially heard Mother's Love for the first time, was somebody posted a video of them on a cruise playing Mother's Love and one of the other songs off of Here to Eternity. So I will check that out. I did watch a couple of the other clips, the older songs, him on the boat, acoustically playing some of his classics.
Yeah.
But, so what'd you think? What'd you think of You Got Lightning?
This is definitely classic Rogers lyrics. Very, very thoughtful lyrics in there. I enjoyed it.
Yep, self-affirmation, very, very positive message. I would have traded in the lyrics on one level. When you get to the bridge, heading into the chorus, he says, you can strike anywhere. And then I was waiting for him to say, you could strike any time. And then he just repeats, you could strike anywhere. I would have said, no.
You can strike anywhere. You can strike anytime. You got lightning.
Yes, I would have changed that.
Yeah, that's the one piece that I thought was a little awkward.
But love the turn of phrase.
Sometimes you feel like a B-side on the turntable
always
B-side,
spinning face
always
down.
spinning face down.
Great line. Great line. Absolutely great line. And that is typical Roger Klein.
Yeah.
The man can turn a phrase like nobody else.
Yeah. No, very, 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 very good for a
Now,
new bit.
I will be curious to hear this with the full band behind him.
Sounds good.
Oh, the live version.
The
yeah.
live version.
Yes, I've got to
sounds
listen to this.
Really
Definitely
good.
got to listen to this.
See,
So I can only judge the acoustic. You can judge it both ways.
I can. The acoustic was good, but it loses. It gains back with the full band there.
And of course, we'll hear it this fall, I would think, sure.
I would imagine we would.
Well, I would give it a solid 3 frenzies just based on the acoustic version.
Yeah, I was going weak on the acoustic, week 3 on the acoustic. Definitely a solid 3, almost 3.5 with the full band.
Yep.
So
I'll definitely have to check that out. But
yeah,
of course,
the full band coming in adds that extra little element to it.
Yep. And of course, like we said, we will review Roger Klein and the Peacemakers live in concert from Bell's Eccentric Cafe this coming fall.
Yep.
Among about 10 or 11 other shows we've got lined up. So we've got one, like I mentioned, in 2 weeks, and then we'll take a break.
It's going to be a little bit of a
we
lull,
hit July,
and then
once we
boom.
hit mid-July, basically almost every week. Basically almost every week from there on out. Now, great news. Great news. Our government finally got their shit together. And they finally said, we're going to do something. We are going to sue along with states that we have pulled in.
We are antitrusting Live Nation
and Ticketmaster. We're going to try to break them up. Now,
Live Nation bought Ticketmaster,
right?
So they have the stranglehold monopoly.
Now, they tried this in the past with AT&T, and they broke them up, but they got back together.
But Live Nation frickin' owns venues. They control
why is
venues.
It you and I? Why is it you and I are the only ones that seem to understand a vertical monopoly? That they own the venue, and then they force people to pay fees to buy tickets to go see a show at a venue they own, where they're going to make the money off the beverage sales and the food sales.
And they screw the artists over.
Why is it so hard to figure out, plain and simple, they have a vertical monopoly?
Hello? And Economics 101.
And they should have been broken up a long time ago. Live Nation should never have been allowed to get into the ticketing game as long as they owned venues. That makes
They never should
sense.
have been allowed to buy out Ticketmaster.
At least there would have been competition.
Right. Ugh.
So we will see how long it takes our government. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
How long it takes our government to figure out if they can pull this off. Hopefully they can do some damage at least and bring Live Nation.
I mean, for the love of God, you're not even providing physical tickets anymore.
Which is another pet peeve of mine, of course. Forcing people to have to own a smartphone to go see a concert makes no sense to me. It absolutely makes no sense to me.
And because people can't bring them up, it takes longer to get through the lines.
And then if they have to go to the bathroom and somebody else has the tickets, how are you supposed to get back to your seat? You have to wave to your friend, hey, can you bring
the phone?
Yeah. No, you're supposed to transfer the tickets to your friends. You have made it so stupid and so complicated where I could go, here, Dave, here's your ticket.
Oh, thank you.
Paper
and now
ticket.
I have a memento of the occasion.
Yes, a free souvenir that will make me feel better about the experience and make me feel a little bit warmer in my heart about Live Nation for giving me an actual free souvenir for the show I'm going to see.
For the 75% fees that they tack on. Well, that might be a little much, but
I think we're starting to see some backlash, though.
People are getting pissed off.
The Black Keys. Okay, normally this isn't a band we would talk about, but I think this will help highlight the problems with the concert experience right now. The high prices
The
and how,
secondary market, the bots getting in there.
well, number one, the Black Keys seem to think they're hot shit. And even though we've reviewed a song here and a song there from them, they're
We're
not
not
one
that
of our bands.
impressed. Everything sounds the same from them.
But of course, they're going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame someday. The critics love them. They set up, they've got a new album out, of course. They set up the International Players Arena Tour in North America. This past week, they had to cancel the tour completely. And people were posting pictures off of Ticketmaster of the available seats at the venues. 85 to 90% after weeks of being on sale, the venues still had open seats.
Because the prices were too much?
Yes, prices in the triple digits
Oh,
to start.
hell no. Hell
Now the Black
no.
Keys go, oh, well, we'll come back, guys. We promise we'll come back, and we're going to play more intimate shows, which, of course, is code for smaller venues.
Higher prices.
Yep. So you rich assholes can still come see us, but we're going to price out all the scumbags who thought, oh, we'll get into the cheap seats for, 50, 60 bucks. And this is what's disheartening. Again, early in the concert season this year, you and I and Mrs. C wanted to go see Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah.
That was one of the first shows announced.
At a Live Nation venue.
Yep. And the prices were ridiculous. $120 for seats, just seats, not lawn seats, but even in the back row.
The furthest back actual seats.
Not off to the side, but, And I looked today.
Those should have been $70 seats.
Yeah, I looked today, all sold out. I cannot believe it, all sold out. I thought maybe we'd see a little backlash there as well, but no. So, I guess people love their Darius Rucker.
I guess. I wasn't going to pay that much. Sorry, can't do it.
No, but we're going to carry through here to movies, as I have not one, but two movie reviews tied into music.
Ooh, do tell.
All right, so sticking with the music motif, even though we're getting out of music, we're going into movies, but we're going to stick with music. What the fuck are you talking about, Maestro? I have two music-related movies to review. Now, one of them is, of course, a story time, because this is a movie that I saw 40 years ago in an old theater here in South Bend, Indiana, where we record. This theater has been long since shut down. But when I saw that it was finally coming back, it was one of those movies like The Hitcher. You and I always talk about
oh my God,
The Hitcher. But you can't find The Hitcher anywhere anymore. You can't buy it on Blu-ray. You can't buy it on DVD. The original.
The original.
With Rutger Hauer.
C. Thomas Howell.
You can find it on streaming, but it's very low quality. That's how Stop Making Sense was. You could not find Stop Making Sense, the concert film featuring the Talking Heads. Now, they released the 40th anniversary edition last year to much fanfare. They got back together, the Talking Heads did, after a long time of being apart, because basically David Byrne is an egotistical asshole.
What? A lead singer? No.
And again, how'd that work out for the band? He didn't go on to have great shakes as a solo artist.
Nope.
If they'd stuck together, I heard they were offered $80 million to get back together last year for a reunion tour, and they turned it down.
Ooh.
That tells you how much they cannot work together.
Wow. That's bad.
Yeah. But Stop Making Sense, which came out in 1984, it gets a lot of ballyhoo, a lot of accolades for being the greatest concert movie ever recorded. And I will tell you, despite the fact that I am not a big Talking Heads fan, it is the greatest concert movie ever recorded in film. Now, number one, credit goes to Jonathan Demme, Oscar-winning director, of course, from Silence of the Lambs. Directed this, filmed this over 3 nights. I believe it was at the Pantages Theater in California. Now, you cannot watch the movie and be overly critical because, as I said, it was filmed over 3 nights. So what they did was they basically tried to do the exact same show 3 nights in a row.
Oof.
One night they filmed on one side of the stage, one night they filmed on the other side, and the third night was kind of all over the place to take all these different shots and angles and put them together.
Of course, you're never going to have the same show 3 nights in a row.
Well, right. And what you're going to find is that there are certain shots, because the audio track has to come from one show.
Right.
You can't blend 3 different nights worth of
It's
this.
impossible.
You have to pick the best take from each night for these songs, and that's what you have to go with. So there are certain shots where Demme has to pan way out, so you can't see David Byrne isn't singing the lyrics
for that particular
song on that particular night.
Yeah.
So you can't nitpick it to that extent. You just have to remember it is a live movie. Maybe the video doesn't sync up with the audio sometimes, again, because it could be the first night's audio and the second night's video.
Yeah.
But beyond that, number one, the set list is fantastic. Now, they were not finished with their career yet at this point. They still had 2 or 3 albums left in them. So to this point in 1984, they picked the absolute best set list they could. And they do a phenomenal job. I get on IMDb after I watch the movie just to see what people were saying, and everybody's 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And then you get the one asshole.
5.
One.
What?
I don't like Talking Heads. David Byrne has no charisma. Big suit, looks stupid.
Then if you don't like the Talking Heads, why did you watch it to begin with?
So
just asking.
I did find it very odd that it was just literally 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10,
10, 10,
1.
10, 10 troll.
Yeah. I am not. Talking Heads would not even land in my top 100 recording artists of all time.
No, they would not.
But this movie is so well done. And the set list, again, perfection. The performances, perfection. The energy.
They caught lightning in a bottle with this one.
They did. This is their defining moment to me. This is their best possible moment. And every band's got one, whether it's a debut album, whether it's a legendary concert. In this case, for the Talking Heads, it is this movie. There was no better instance of the Talking Heads than Stop Making Sense. It is phenomenal. I watched it right before my Max subscription expired.
There you go.
I loved it. And again, not in my top 100 bands of all time, not my top 100 performers. This is an unbelievable rock and roll show. Unbelievable. 4 frenzies.
Wow.
That it is the greatest. It is the greatest concert film ever.
Holy crap.
It is the greatest concert film ever. And I was alluding to this with you a week or 2 ago when I said I was thinking of watching it.
Yeah.
Reinforced my opinion. It is the greatest concert movie ever.
All right.
And it's an hour and a half. It's not going to take up all your time. You get a little bit of the Tom Tom Club in there. If you remember back in the day, they had the one hit,
Oh,
Genius of
yeah.
Love. James Brown, James Brown. So David Byrne, of course, takes a break and lets Tina Weymouth and Chris Franz,
Do
who are the
their
Tom
little.
Tom Club, do their little thing. But it all works. It is all just ridiculously good. Take Me to the River, Burning Down the House. You get all to that point again, all the hits
Their
to that
greatest
point.
hits through that.
Right.
There you go.
So, yes, 4 frenzies for this extraordinary concert film. And again,
Damn.
Jonathan Demme knows what he's doing with the camera.
Right.
So, and he makes it dark. He really makes it dark. And the one last thing before I move on, it's cool how they start the concert. Legendary start where you see a pair of sneakers walking onto the stage with a boombox. And David Byrne drops the boombox down. And he says, I've got a song to play for you. He clicks the button, and it's him solo acoustic guitar doing Psycho Killer. And it's just one of the greatest moments ever. And then for the next 20 minutes, they're gradually pulling out the stage setup. It's not behind him already.
Wow,
The
they're
crew-
actually putting it together.
Right. So the next song, Tina Weymouth comes out, I believe, on bass, and they do a song together. And then they pull out the drums, the next song, and then they pull in the keyboard set.
Wow.
So for 20 minutes, every song is pieced together instrument by instrument. And then once they get the full ensemble out there,
And
then they go to town.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah. Just, it's fascinating movie to watch. It really is. Well, I'm not done with music yet.
Oh, there's more.
Yes. Let's go back to revisit. This is not my review, but because I am so fucking bitter about Bon Jovi, I'm going to start tying everything negative in my world into Bon Jovi.
So the new code word for crap is Bon Jovi.
Yeah. Bon Jovi. Yeah, we see an ugly woman in a bar go, Bon Jovi.
Oh, I have to take a healthy Bon Jovi.
Yeah. So I have told you I'm trying to slog my way through this 4-part, ridiculously long documentary, 5+ hours on Bon Jovi on Hulu.
In
right?
less than an hour, you could have gotten Breaking the Band to find out what the hell happened.
And as I've told you, he's already admitted in this that he shit the bed with the Indianapolis show we complain about from 2022. But now to compare, and I think you'll back me up on this. Now I went ahead, as I have bragged about shedding HBO Max, shedding Paramount. I got a deal, $2 a month to bring back Disney Plus. So I signed up for that. And one of the first things I wanted to watch was they have a 2-hour, not even 2-hour, less than 2 hours, Dave, biography on the Beach Boys. And I wanted to watch this. So this was the first thing I signed up for Disney Plus, wanted to watch the Beach Boys. But first thing that hit me was, how the fuck does Bon Jovi warrant 5+ hours and we can't even get a 2 full-hour documentary
On the
Beach Boys?
The ego that is John Bon Jovi.
Yes, because somewhere in the middle, the truth lies. We should have got a hell of a lot more than an hour and 52 minutes or whatever it was with the Beach Boys, and a hell of a lot less than 5+ hours with Bon Jovi. Now, the Beach Boys, if you can't tell by my attitude, deserve more. But for what you get, this is interesting to a point. But it's Disney-fied. It's cleaned up. I think Brian Wilson drops an F-bomb once throughout the proceedings.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of background gossip kind of stuff, affairs or sexual things going on. You don't know who was sleeping with who or if anything like that was going on. This is more about straight and narrow, the
This is
business
how
of the
we
Beach Boys.
started.
Right. Right. And they ignore the resurgence of the Beach Boys in the 80s completely.
Really?
Yeah, they play Kokomo over the ending credits, and that's
But
it.
that's the only reference to the resurgence.
They show,
because
they close the documentary out with a 1980 concert. I believe it was in Washington, D.C. And that is it. They ignore the resurgence in the 80s of the Beach Boys completely.
wow.
Now, there are interesting tidbits and things that some people might not know about the Beach Boys that they do cover, but again, they gloss over very carefully. Such as Carl Wilson, the drummer, his connection to Charles Manson.
Yeah, that was a.
And he basically let Charles Manson and his disciples live in his house.
Yeah.
And the implication in the documentary is that
The
Charles
murder
Manson
was planned there.
Charles Manson wanted not there. He might have planned it there, but who they wanted to kill was an associate of the Beach Boys, a producer, one of their compatriots, one of their friends, guy who had helped them produce and engineer and write stuff because he had turned Manson down as a recording artist. And it turned out that he had long moved out of the rental house and Sharon Tate was living
just
there.
Happened to have been.
Yes.
So
yes.
it was
Manson didn't do his homework
by default that
right.
she
That's the implication. So that part of it, even though this is only 5 minutes of the movie,
that's
very
a
intriguing.
Heavy 5 minutes.
Yeah, very intriguing 5 minutes. And then we've also got, you know, a lot of it's old stock footage because Dennis and Carl are both long, unfortunately, deceased.
Right.
And Brian Wilson can't really do a lot of interviews now.
No, he's in horrible shape.
Right. So you get a lot of Mike Love and Al Jardine and Bruce Johnston. And then you get a lot of the behind the scenes business stuff with the father who
taking
basically
over.
screwed them out of a ton of money by selling the song rights out from under them.
Yeah.
And then Mike Love had to sue Brian Wilson because he didn't get the credit for writing the lyrics on a lot of the songs.
Yeah. It was an effed up situation.
Yes. So for what it is, it's very good. I still think they could have gone a lot deeper. Another hour, 45 minutes or an hour would have been better to get more detail.
Dive into.
Right. Fascinated by the rivalry between them and the Beatles. They actually have Brian Wilson at one point as they discuss the Beatles coming to America, and he says they've got him recorded saying, "I want to hold your hand, ain't that good of a song."
He's not wrong.
And then, of course, his eccentricities as a creator, how he let the rest of the band go out on tour and he would stay back and he would engineer and write songs, and they would come back and he would say, "Okay, here's what I got. Here are the lyrics."
Boom, boom,
Mike
boom,
Love,
boom, boom,
he would tell
go.
Mike Love, "Here's the arrangement. You write the lyrics. You guys sing it, and I'll put it together, produce it, put it out. You guys go back out on tour." Ridiculously interesting dynamic. But again, you're not getting a lot of the behind the scenes darkness. Yeah. They allude to drug use sporadically. Again, it's Disney-fied.
Yeah.
One last thing, which downgrades the movie. I will give it a 3 frenzies. Could have been a lot better with more detail. This pandering, and this is another Disney thing. It's got to be a Disney thing. We got to bring in 3 or 4 musicians to comment on the Beach Boys, even though they have no connection to the Beach Boys.
You don't need to bring in any commentary from anybody.
You know,
unless they had a direct connection.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. We can't get any commentary from Glenn Campbell, who, of course, was briefly a member of the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they decide they want to talk to Lindsey Buckingham of Fleetwood Mac.
Why?
Well, it gets worse. I can actually listen to Lindsey Buckingham discuss the Beach Boys because, as old as he is, they might have actually influenced him, right? He might have grown up listening to them. Why the fuck do I have to listen to fucking Janelle Monáe talk about the Beach Boys? Janelle Monáe was born in 1985.
What the hell did
Yet I
she
gotta
have
listen
to
to
say?
her because she's a bisexual, non-binary music and acting icon. So we have to listen.
In what realm?
I don't care if she cried listening to the Beach Boys in 1998. That holds no relevance to me whatsoever.
No. That's pointless, useless.
She did not grow up with the Beach Boys. Neither did One Republic's Ryan Tedder, who was born in 1979. Why do I have to listen to these people? Again, Lindsey Buckingham at least might have grown up listening to the Beach Boys.
Yeah. No.
Why do I have to listen? Because we got to have somebody in there who the kids will know.
No.
Fuck the kids. If they can't respect the Beach Boys what they were, fuck them. I don't need to hear Janelle Monáe talking about the Beach Boys.
She has no knowledge of them, period. End of conversation.
But again, Disney's got to pander. And that, again, downgrades the movie for me. They took time away from what could have been more detail to the story of the Beach Boys.
Oh, I just hate that crap.
Ugh. I know. I'm sorry. I got off on a rant there. So four frenzies for Stop Making Sense, 3 frenzies for the story of the Beach Boys. It was great to hear that music. Great to hear Good Vibrations and Sloop, John B.
Oh, God, my favorite.
Fun. Which
Sloop
has the greatest
John B
line.
is my favorite Beach Boys song.
It's not theirs. I believe it's a Kingston trio.
That did it originally. Yes. But I love the Beach Boys rendition of it.
Oh, God, yes. And then Fun has my greatest line in rock. Fun till Daddy takes the T-Bird away. All right, we've got new trailers, Dave. New trailers.
Of
course, one we have been waiting for a long time. I have watched it 3 or 4 times already. That would be Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley.
That looks brilliant, doesn't it?
Snowplow's got a lot of blind spots.
So looking forward to Axel.
And you get Judge Reinhold. God, I missed you, Axel.
Billy.
Beetlejuice. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. The first one was okay. It got a lot of... I was not that huge of a fan of it. It was all right. I think people are looking
at... Tim Burton. That's how Tim Burton is. His movies are hit and miss.
Yeah, it was mediocre. It got more fanfare in the years since than it deserves. Once Burton really started making it bigger, Beetlejuice took on that cult phenomenon that it really doesn't need. Now, Michael Keaton's brilliant, of course.
Yep. So we'll see how this all plays out. I like some of it, like Willem Dafoe looks like he's interesting with his exposed brain.
Right, yeah.
But it's just a very odd time right now. We have had a lot of very disappointing results over the last month at the box office. Furiosa, Fall Guy. You're not getting huge hits anymore like you used to.
No, and I know we wanted to go see Fall Guy. Things didn't work out.
Yep. It's probably going to be on Peacock in 3 weeks.
Yeah, the boys still want to try and find a time to go see Furiosa.
It is just so depressing that it did not do well.
Yeah.
And then you get all the trolls out there going, well, you guys didn't realize Fury Road wasn't that big of a hit. Fury Road made $150 goddamn million.
Yeah, what the hell are you talking about?
Nobody was expecting it to make a $400 million Marvel type haul at the box office. Now I will side with some of the criticism. I don't know if you'll agree with me or not. Now, Fury Road, yes, Charlize Theron's character Furiosa was the equal of Tom Hardy's Mad Max. But
yes.
I think a valid criticism is people wanted to see a Mad Max movie, not a Furiosa movie.
Right. We want Mad Max. Mad Max is the centerpiece.
And I don't know if George Miller fell into the trap of trying to be PC and saying we've got to do a movie with the female character.
Or was he told that if you want to do another Mad Max, you have to do this first?
I don't know. Supposedly he has got The Wastelands coming next, which is supposed to go back to being a strict Mad Max story. But if Furiosa fails, who's going to give him the money to do it? Is any studio going to greenlight it?
The studios actually have to realize.
You got to remember what studio you're dealing with, too. This is Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Woke Warner.
The cheapest studio out there. The one that would not release Batgirl, would not release Coyote and Acme.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is not going to bring in nearly the amount of money they thought it was going to, are you going to get... And George Miller does not have a lot of time left on this world. I'm sorry.
No, he doesn't, which is a sad statement.
He might have one more movie in him. Let's make it a knockdown, drag-out Mad Max extravaganza.
Yes. Took the words right out of my mouth.
And then finally, trailer-wise, not your two favorite actors, but at least the plot and the story looks like it's something that we would enjoy. The movie is Wolves. WOLFS, Wolves. Starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt. They are both fixers who get called in on the same dirty assignment to dispose of a body, and things go sideways and they are forced to team up together as complication upon complication sets in and arises.
Could this possibly be a second coming of the Nice Guys?
That's what I'm thinking. Now, I don't think you're ever going to be as good as a Nice Guys.
No, you're not going to get that chemistry between the characters.
Right, but instead
falling
of
in
two
place.
detectives, you're getting two bad guys having to work together. And then, of course, again, things fall apart and they have to work together to get their asses out of trouble.
Intriguing, bringing those two back together.
Watch the trailer. Yeah, from the Ocean's movies.
Yep.
Disney Plus. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. That's TV. Do you care who won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, Dave?
No, not really.
Well, Anora
tell
won.
The kids anyway.
Anora won the Palme d'Or about a sex worker who ends up marrying an oligarch's son, I think it is. And then, of course, the family has to come over from Russia because they are going to dispute the wedding. I think this is the storyline.
Something stupid.
I hope there's boobies. That's all I hope.
Boobies.
And how many times, I haven't looked, but how many times does the winner of the Palme d'Or actually go on to
do anything
here in America? Yeah. I don't think very often.
No, that's a rarity.
Hey, Dave, did you like Home Alone?
It had its moments.
Did you like the house? At least the outside?
It was kind of generic.
Well, what I think you should do is take your salary here from Sports Frenzy and buy the Home Alone house because it is for sale in Winnetka, Illinois. And it will
For
only cost you
$2.5 million.
2 point, double it. $5.25 million
Yeah,
is
no,
what
I'm
they're
good.
asking.
I'm good.
Now,
I
of
don't need
course,
it.
the house was only used on exterior shots.
Yeah.
Interiors were done on a soundstage. One of the rare times, kids, where I have a book review and Dave doesn't,
I know. Write this date down.
because I have my little backup plan for when I'm in between books. I've already told Dave I've got 3 coming out in June that I've got to start reading. So I had a little bit of time here to fit in as I catch up with the Jesse Stone series. Now I'm a ways back. I admit it. I'm a ways back on this, but I finished up Debt to Pay by, of course, technically the late great Robert B. Parker, but also Reed Farrell Coleman. Now he is the third writer at this point, the third writer in the Jesse Stone series. This was his third book. Now before him, Michael Brandman wrote 3. And then, of course, the great Robert B. Parker wrote 9. So do your math, kids. That would tell you this is the 15th book in the Jesse Stone series. Now, I'm going to bring Dave in on this because I have a comparison for this book to a book he and I have read in the past and how it changed a series that we love and turned it much darker. All right, so Debt to Pay. Jesse Stone, this is a part 2, so to speak, from the last book, where we're dealing with the geeky, gawky, yet lethal assassin known as Mr. Peepers. Now, if you'll remember, I reviewed...
Sorry, all I can think of is Chris Kattan as Mr. Peepers on SNL.
eating his apple.
Eating his apple, and then his father, played by The Rock, coming in. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No. Yeah, now you got me laughing about that, which is good because this is a... God. As I just said, the series I was alluding to that will bring Dave in on this is he and I both read the Elvis Cole series. Now, of course, it's officially the Elvis Cole and Joe Pike series. But the first handful of books in the Elvis Cole series were great mysteries, but they had a sense of humor to them.
Ergo, in the titles like The Monkey's Raincoat.
Right. Indigo Slam. They were a little bit more lighthearted. And then they got to, Robert Craze, the author, got to L.A. Requiem.
Oof.
And things went dark. And ever since then, the Elvis Cole and Joe Pike series has been darker, more serious, less
the next
humor.
couple of were dark as Elvis is trying to deal with what happened, the repercussions from Requiem. And now the last 2 of he's pulled himself out of the darkness and is getting back to his old self.
Now, the Jesse Stone series, I know some of you maybe have watched the old movies, the popular CBS TV movies with Tom Selleck playing Jesse Stone. To me, Selleck was fine, but he was never in my head, my idea of Jesse Stone. I always thought Josh Brolin would have been a much, much better Jesse Stone. Tom Selleck, a little too old.
Yeah.
For me, in terms of what you get in the books. But this series, Jesse Stone was never jokey, fun, ha. It was basically straightforward police procedurals. Jesse Stone, for those of you who don't know, the second most popular character in the Robert B. Parker canon after Spencer. baseball player tore up his shoulder in the minor leagues, ruined his career, ended up joining law enforcement, detective in LA, washed out because he was a drunk, hired in as the police chief in Paradise, Massachusetts, because the mayor and the town council thought they'd be able to control him. And he basically, to a point, sobered up and cleaned up, and has proven the town council and the mayor wrong. Of course, they're all gone now. New people have come in, as he has outlasted all the corruption and the small town politics. But now with Reed Farrell Coleman's run here with the Jesse Stone books, he has taken a darker turn here with this whole Mr. Peepers storyline. And Debt to Pay actually has major impacts in the Spencer universe. Now, Spencer takes place in Boston, but there are characters in the Spencer universe that overlap with Jesse Stone in Paradise. And Debt to Pay starts off with the death of one of the major characters in the Spencer universe. Now, this is a long time ago, so I'm not spoiling anything by telling you it's the gangster Gino Fish.
Right.
So that, of course, brings the great Vinnie Morris into this.
Vinnie.
As Vinnie wants revenge for the death of his former boss, Gino Fish. So as we go from the last book here into this book, Jesse Stone's ex-wife is getting married to a Texas hotshot millionaire. He's getting messages from Mr. Peeper saying he is going to exact his revenge on Jesse Stone for screwing up his plans at the end of the last book. He's going to take it out on his ex-wife, basically target her at her wedding. So Jesse, who has found a new girlfriend, his fiance, they're now engaged. They reluctantly, they don't want to go, but they go to Texas, to Dallas, to oversee things, to keep an eye out to see if there's a possibility of Mr. Peepers and if they can stop it. And then you get in a cat and mouse game of who's doing what, who is where. And again, it takes a very, very, very dark turn at the end. Here's the story. I was telling Dave, I've got a story that's going to, again, just like the pineapple shirt, another story that will make everybody laugh at how stupid Kev is. So I figured I'd pull out the next book in the series. I had about 25 pages left in this one a couple days ago. Yeah. I pull out the next book in the series, and I just want to check and make sure I got the right one. So you turn to the you turn to the first couple pages, and they have the list of the books in chronological order. So I pull out the Hangman's Sonnet, which is the next book in the series. Yes, I flipped open by accident the front flap. And the first sentence I happen to see on the front flap spoils the end of Debt to Pay. Oh. And I'm like, I had 25 goddamn pages left, and now I know what's going to happen.
But now you have to find out how it happened.
So I finished it. I read it. And I'm glad I did, because even though what was spoiled for me happened,
but to put it in context,
the last 2 or 3 pages are, despite the fact I do not like this line of storytelling with Reed Farrell Coleman, I think it's too dark. I think it's too masochistic what he puts all the characters through in terms of the violence and the psychological and physical torture they go through. It's too much. It's way too much. But once there is this resolution, you get a great scene at the end with Vinnie Morris and Jesse Stone. And it's just classic these two tough guys meeting together. One has solved the problem for the other, but is the other irrevocably broken? And of course, not spoiling anything else for you guys, but the last couple lines, one of the telltale trademark thing throughout all the Jesse Stone books is, since he was a baseball player, he loves Ozzie Smith. So he has a poster, and he's had this poster since the first book with Robert B. Parker, this poster of Ozzie Smith in midair fielding a ground ball. And of course, the picture of the poster's got him frozen in midair.
Mid-dive.
And at the very end of the book, Jesse Stone looks at the poster, and Reed Farrell Coleman closes the book out by saying, one baseball hero frozen in midair, the other former baseball hero just frozen. And it was like, great ending.
Wow.
Great ending. So then, of course, now I will go into the Hangman's Sonnet, the next book, to see how Jesse Stone recovers from the trauma, like L.A. Requiem with Elvis Cole, how Jesse Stone will move forward. I just hope that Reed Farrell Coleman isn't going to set us up for more
misery.
Jesus, God. Yeah, darkness and misery and humiliation and torture. And I will give Debt to Pay a very, very weak 3 Frenzies, because it is so dark. It's not that it's a bad book. It's well put together. You will attest to this. A lot of these authors who have taken over for Parker do not understand the true gift of Robert B. Parker as opposed to a James Lee Burke, where
Right.
Burke can be verbose. Burke can give you detail.
Poetic.
He can give you detail, but you're never bored.
Right.
You savor every word. Parker's gift was he could tell a story.
Bones.
Yep. Sparse detail. He told you just enough. He propelled the story forward without going into too much detail. And with maybe the exception of Ace Atkins, none of these other guys have come through and taken over for Parker when it comes to Spencer or Stone know how to do that.
Yeah. Outside of Atkins, the only one who can come close to getting the feel for it has been Knott with the Cole Hitch Westerns.
Right, and I have not read those. You've read those. Yep.
So Knott has a great feel for that.
Yep. And again, this had a lot of potential to be a really great book, but it's just so dark and on levels so disturbing. Again, it's a masochistic book in many ways, and it just puts all the characters through so much pain and misery that you just feel uncomfortable at the end. You go, okay, enough is enough. For the love of God, get rid of the bad guy. Let the good guys move on to the next story.
Unfortunately, I think I know what happened.
Well,
go figure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that hard to figure out, but all right. So TV and streaming. I have started to watch Fallout, as you wanted me to. And I am into the 2nd episode, and so far, not bad. I don't think I'm as Goggins over it as you are.
As Goggins over it as the boys and
but
I were.
I do love Walton. He is awesome. Walton Goggins is fantastic as the ghoul. So I will keep plugging along with Fallout Season 1.
Yep. We have gone since we finished Young Sheldon, the finale hit. Mrs. C and I have decided, all right, let's go back and see what the big deal was with the Big Bang Theory. We never watched it. It's like, maybe at some point. But with all the hints of what was to come from Young Sheldon, we decided to dive into it over this past weekend. Through a few things, we're like 8 episodes into it. It's freaking hysterical. Much better than I ever would have thought. and the double entendres. It's for being on network TV. I'm surprised they were able to pull this off.
Well, there's got to be a reason why it was so insanely popular.
Yeah, and now we know.
Yep.
So we're gonna keep going with that. God, 12 friggin' seasons though. God.
Wow. That is a lot to get
But
through.
a half-hour show, if you're watching it on HBO Max, it's done in like 20 minutes.
True.
So,
And that is why I have recommended to Dave, and I have a review of, and I will not spoil for you. I will not spoil. A very short 6-episode run. All episodes about 20 to 22 minutes of Tires on Netflix. This features stand-up comedian Shane Gillis. Now this, I almost texted Dave after watching the first episode. I almost texted him and said, "You have got to watch this now." But after I watched the second and my enthusiasm died down, not because of anything wrong with the show, I think I just misread it a little bit. Tires is the perfect amalgam of The Office and Clerks put together. Now, the first episode was a little more Clerks, so that's where I was going to go, I got to tell Dave to watch this. Then it got a little bit more like The Office, which brought me back down to earth a little bit. But if you watch the opening credits, are exactly like The Office. You can almost hear the piano playing in the background. It takes place at a tire store. And you're like, oh my God,
gee.
how the hell could this be anything funny? Oh, let me tell you. You've got the straight-laced son running the store for his father, the owner of Valley Forge Tire. And then you've got his friend, his second in command, who is the Randall. Now the problem is the lead is not Dante. He's not nearly as cool as Dante. He's basically more like the Steve Carell. That's where you get the Office and the Clerks thing. In that Shane Gillis is more like a Clerks character, a devious Randall, with all this the body talk, the sexual innuendos, getting the other guy into trouble all the time. The other guy is more straight-laced and naive like Steve Carell, Michael Scott. Then you've got the requisite cast of 2 or 3 other characters. Yeah. You got the white trash receptionist out front. And then you've got the straight-laced mechanic in the back, very steady, straight man type thing. And again, it is only 6 episodes, 22 minutes an episode, but they are very, very funny. Now, if this had gone 16, 18 episodes, might have worn on me a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how the writing would have stretched out. They say they've got a second season coming at the end of the final episode, episode 6. The bikini car wash episode is a classic, though. An absolute classic.
Where
Shane
qualities?
Gillis... No. You don't get nudity. But Shane Gillis convinces his buddy, the boss, to run a bikini car wash to bring people in to buy cheap tires. Because the whole premise starts off with the very first episode. The idiot kid, the owner's son, has bought like hundreds and hundreds of tires.
Too many tires.
At a discount price, thinking, oh, now we can turn around and sell them. How are you going to make any money on these?
Oh, my.
And then he's got a supervisor played by another stand-up comic. I don't have his name written down, but he's a big fat Greek guy, I think. He's not all that great. honestly. The less of him you get, the better. But he plays a decent foil as he's trying to suck up to the father, in between the father and the son. And
Yeah.
I'm the boss when your father's not around. You will report to me. And he wants to do $10
Yeah.
oil changes, and they all tell him that's going to bring in the worst possible fucking consumer of all time. No, it won't. Where they're trying to tell him, let's do something else. Bring them in for the cheap tires, and then we tell them they need brakes, they need this,
Yeah.
they need struts. No, $10 oil change. And of course, they proceed to get the cheapest, scuzziest human beings on the earth.
Yeah.
But that's how the show flows.
There you go.
So I will give Tires season 1 a solid 3 frenzies.
All right.
Now, I would be remiss if I did not give you my update on the WWE.
Yes. Wrestling.
King and Queen of the Ring was this past Saturday in Saudi Arabia. And why, by the way, does the WWE not get any shit
For taking the blood money?
for having multiple pay-per-views every year in Saudi Arabia? Why is it nobody gives them shit for that?
Because you don't have pompous assholes participating.
And
Like Rory McIlroy.
And you've got, the women have to wear full body suits. They can't wear the normal skimpier outfits, fishnets. They've got to wear full body suits. But no, nobody gives them shit. Well, you're right. Yeah, we don't have a Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Bitching and pissing and moaning.
Who wasn't offered money because nobody wanted him because he's a choke artist.
So you're King of the Ring. And I believe they took a year or two off. So this is the first time they've awarded this in a while. Your King of the Ring is the Ring General Gunther. And he will get a shot at Damian Priest at SummerSlam. That's kind of the deal here.
Yeah.
So the Queen of the Ring is Nia Jax. And I believe she gets to go up against Bayley, maybe?
Got me.
And then the shocker of the night was Liv Morgan. Yes, when she's not getting in trouble and getting pulled over for smoking pot behind the wheel of a car in Florida. And she is very good looking. So I'm sure that helps get her out of any trouble she has with the police. She is your new women's world champion, beating Becky Lynch.
She beat the man to become the man.
And then I told you the next Raw, 2 nights later, in Savannah, Georgia, they had a rematch. Rematch clause kicked in. Steel cage match in Savannah, Georgia. And for the second time in 3 nights, dumb, dirty Dominic Mysterio interfered, trying to help Becky Lynch, and he fucked her over for the second straight match. Slammed the steel cage door in her face.
Oh!
So Liv Morgan, twice now, owes her title to dumb, dirty Dom Mysterio. SummerSlam has been announced for 2026. 2 nights. Not 1, but 2, just like WrestleMania.
So SummerSlam is growing.
SummerSlam will be 2 nights in Minneapolis in 2026. And then finally, I know how much you are looking forward to this Naked Gun reboot with Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson. Well, the world champion Cody Rhodes has been slated to make an appearance in the Naked Gun. So take that for what you will.
Alrighty then.
What do you think of when I say working at the
car wash?
That's my man. NBC's got to find a way to fuck up even a great nostalgia story like that.
No.
NBC is rebooting Car Wash.
No.
Car Wash, the TV series, coming soon to NBC.
No.
Working at the car wash, yeah.
No.
So they'll find a way to fuck that up.
So now is CBS going to pull out DC Cab?
Well, Netflix screwed the hell out of Good Times with that animated garbage. I've heard nothing. I watched 5 minutes and I couldn't take anymore. And I have heard nothing in terms of it being good in the ratings, having solid numbers. Nobody's watching it. I did mention a while back Disney Plus.
I know. Let's make used cars into a TV series next.
Bring back Kurt Russell. I can't bring back Jack Warden, but
You could play the Jack Warden character.
Jesus. And have Wyatt play. I like that. See, we got to do everything around here. We got to run Hollywood, come up with the ideas.
Oh, God, if you're going to retread something, pick something really good. But no, Car Wash is not a TV series. I'm sorry.
Finally, well, two things. Finally, with Disney, I mentioned it earlier, they're trying to recover the Marvel situation. The movies have been bad. Hopefully, when Daredevil Born Again comes out, whenever, eventually, that will help with a resurgence. But one of these series that they're hoping will also help. Vision is getting a standalone series in 2026. Now, I liked WandaVision. I have to admit, I really thought WandaVision was very good. So, but 2026, it's
Seriously,
taking
come on.
forever for this content to come out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous the amount of time it takes to pull anything together.
And then, of course, one last thing with Netflix. Loved The Glass Onion. Loved the original Knives Out. Well, thank God they look like they are going to be able to kick out the third Knives Out movie fairly quickly here. Should be coming out in 2025. It has a title, and they're already casting for it. Out in 2025, Netflix, Wake Up Dead Man, a Netflix Knives Out mystery.
Nice. Very cool.
Coming next year. I know this is me being old school, but God, put Glass Onion out on DVD, would
For the
you?
love of God. What the hell's wrong with
Because
the streaming?
they want you to pay in perpetuity to have Netflix.
Yeah.
So I did something, by the way. I'm making a confession in front of all the podcast audience to you, which makes me look like a hypocrite. Despite the fact that I have bitched and pissed and moaned to you over the years, and I have not watched it because I don't like the casting, I got a really, really good price. So I bought the complete series of Jack Ryan with John Krasinski.
It's actually good.
I know. I just gave up on it way too quick, and that's on me. But I got all 4 seasons for $30.
Oh, well, hell. There you go.
Yeah. 12 discs.
Nice.
All right. It's that time where we have to discuss, and a lot to discuss this week when it comes to moments of silence. Now, you, of course, being in the world of books, very significant passing in terms of authors. Caleb Carr, who wrote The Alienist.
Yep.
I remember that was a very significant book when I worked at Walden Books. Yes, the now defunct, extinct Walden Books.
It's been a while.
Turned into a great series on TNT. Then, of course, in the world of music, we have the death of the leader of Iron Butterfly, as our buddy Bill would say.
Inagata Devita, baby.
Yep, Doug Engel. Again, leader, composer for Iron Butterfly. Sad, sad, sad story. Actor for the soap opera General Hospital, Johnny Wachter.
This is
shot
ridiculous.
and killed as he tried to stop some men from stealing his catalytic converter on his car.
Come on.
Follow-up reports say that he also was shielding a woman who happened to get too close to the scene. But yeah, this is the world we live in now.
This is freaking ridiculous.
Very, very sad state of affairs. Somebody getting shot over a catalytic converter. And then finally, for me personally, this one kind of hurts because I thought this guy was a brilliant documentarian. Some would say second only to the idiot Michael Moore. But Morgan Spurlock dies at 53. Now, I believe a couple years ago, I reviewed a series he had about 10, 12 years ago on Showtime called 7 Deadly Sins, which was brilliant.
Right. Yeah, of course, he's most famous for Super Size Me, where he ate McDonald's for every meal for how long?
30 days.
30 days.
Yep.
Ugh.
Had liver issues, throwing up after the first couple days. But very good documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, just crazy, too damn young to go.
Did the McDonald's food do it?
All right, and as always, now we have to pivot here on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
Otherwise known as, of course, iHeartRadio.
Yes, we pivot to America's favorite game show, picking the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
And unlike with the Sports Edition, of course, check out the Sports Edition every Thursday morning. We had some slim pickings. It was a slow week for sports dumbasses. We are plenty stocked up here in pop culture. So we have got 6 potential dumbasses of the week. And by the way, thank you to Spotify for the last time. This will be the final time we record on Spotify. But I also say fuck you to Spotify because now they're forcing us to go somewhere else and making our lives more difficult. But you can still, as Dave said, find us on Spotify for the weeks and months and hopefully years to come. All right, let's start off with an easy one. And I don't know if this guy did this on purpose or not, but, and I say but. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune. Now, we have gone here in the past, and it's fun to make fun of these people who guess stupid things on these game shows, whether it's Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune. But this one takes the cake. Let's start off with what the correct answer was supposed to be. Of course, not all the letters were exposed.
That's what she said.
It was supposed to be, this is the best. But a gentleman a week or two ago on Wheel of Fortune, when he was asked to guess, or he decided to guess, did not guess this is the best. You haven't heard this?
No.
Oh, God. Oh, God. He did not guess this is the best. He guessed right in the butt. Now, my question is,
wow,
4 letters at the beginning. Okay, you could have, yes, I can see how in the butt would fit, given what was exposed. Again, sorry, no pun intended. But how, with 4 letters, do you get right?
You can't.
Right doesn't fit 4 letters in. But this is why I'm
Oh,
saying, did he do this
God.
on purpose
He had
to
to
go
have.
viral?
He had to have.
Right in the butt. And of course,
Right in the butt, Bob.
Pat Sajak is like, when do I get to fucking retire? Am I done yet?
Wow, look at that. I got a thing.
Yeah. Where's Seacrest? Seacrest out, bitch.
I gotta feed the chickens, slop the hogs, pay the bills, do my homework.
Right in the butt. Right in the butt.
Ah.
So we got to wonder, his girlfriend or his wife? Oh, she must be a nasty hoe.
Subliminal message, maybe?
Wishful thinking.
That too.
All right. Dave and I, even though I hate fault finders, I do hate fault finders, but I don't like them when it comes to normal everyday conversation. You know, if we're just talking one-on-one, you know, at the grocery store, at a party, I don't need somebody telling me, "Oh, you didn't say that correctly. You didn't say that right." Okay, we don't need that.
Shut up.
But when
Factual?
people are actually paid, whether it's a newscaster, somebody putting together a website
If you're
for a
editing
company,
something,
right,
fact checking.
right, then it's okay. Because if you're getting paid to do a job you're not doing, damn Skippy, we're going to call you out. Now, this one's tricky because it's a very tough word to spell. But still, when you're talking about high school diplomas, you might want to make absolutely sure you're spelling the school's name right.
Oh, it's for the love of all that's holy.
In Virginia.
One job. You had one job.
In Virginia, a high school's diplomas were misspelled, and they put the wrong month, by the way.
Ugh.
Because aren't we still in May, Dave?
Yes, we
And
are.
these kids debuted or graduated a week or two ago, which would have been in May.
Yes.
But they put June on the diplomas. And then the school is Matawaca, Matoaca. But of course, on the diplomas, it was spelled Matacoa. So not only the wrong month, but
the wrong high school.
and again, it's a very difficult word name, but still,
Come on.
you gotta do your homework. You gotta fact check, proofread what you're doing.
Ugh.
Okay, one last time. I know how much you love going back to France for Cannes. George Lucas, my man George Lucas, had to actually, believe it or not, answer questions about racism in Star Wars. Even to this day, people are still badgering him, saying Star Wars was not diverse enough. Now, they're the dumbasses who are saying this, but George Lucas did have a great response to this and basically said, "Are you kidding me? Have you seen how many goddamn aliens are in the movie? How is it not diverse?"
Yeah, exactly. Have you not watched the cantina scene? Oh my God.
Oh, Dave, you remember Brittany Griner?
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to talk about her, but you would think
People would learn their lesson.
these stupid celebrities would learn the lesson that Brittany Griner could not.
Oh, you mean like don't take drugs into a foreign country?
Or on an airplane going from one foreign country to another? Now, of course, got a great body, but Nicki Minaj probably only has about 2 brain cells, which might explain why she was arrested for trying to take marijuana in her baggage from the Netherlands to Manchester, England.
Idiot.
I think she thought that because it's legal in the Netherlands,
That it would be legal in London
or it'd be okay to put it in
England.
her luggage.
Dumbass.
And then, of course, she went on to say it's all a conspiracy and people are out to get her and it's racism. And
No, it's you being a dumbass by not knowing what any rules and laws are because you're an entitled celebrity twit.
okay, now we talked about the hashtag Me Too movement this past week. And if we're talking about a specific job, like CFO or, manager of a store, where all things are equal, women should be paid as much as men. 100%,
Yes.
no doubt, no argument. But we have got to again deal with the fact that there is a gray area when it comes to entertainment. Because whether women like it or not, sometimes their male co stars might be the bigger draw. And so they, ergo and therefore, get paid more money. Well, we found out, and of course, her acting career has just skyrocketed since Home Improvement. Patricia Richardson, of course, played Tim Allen's wife on Home Improvement. We find out that the reason why there was not a 9th season of Home Improvement is because Patricia Richardson wanted to be paid as much as Tim Allen.
She didn't want to do a 9th season.
No, she says she would have if she'd gotten paid as much as he did.
Yeah. But she really didn't want to, so she put that out there knowing they weren't going to take it.
No, that's not what I read. I read that she would have done it if she would have gotten equal pay. And then she wanted a producing credit as well. It does not make any sense for her to think she should be equal to Tim Allen on that show in terms of she always offered $1 million an episode for the ninth year. $1 million an episode and said, nope, not good enough.
Nope. Whatever.
And then finally we have 2 nut jobs, one right wing, one left wing, both from Hollywood, both here in the news over the past week. Of course, we've got Robert De Niro outside of the Trump trial spouting his hatred and vitriol for Donald Trump. And then on the flip side, we have got Richard Dreyfuss showing up at Jaws screenings in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And instead of telling whimsical tales about the filming of Jaws, going on political screeds and rants about being a homophobe, showing up dressed in a dress.
Yeah.
These two are together because they show both sides.
Yes.
How the right
two
wing and the left
extremes of
and they're both
stupidity and entitlement.
both stupid. Both stupid.
Yep.
The thing is, I think De Niro scares me a little bit more because he is just such an angry, nasty man.
Yes, he is.
But Dreyfuss, no pass for him either.
No.
So, Dreyfuss and De Niro, Patricia Richardson, Nicki Minaj, the critics of Star Wars not being diverse enough, the idiots who misspelled the high school diplomas in Virginia, and Wheel of Fortune right in the butt.
That was planned. Sorry. Oh, God. Let's go with the double.
I'm gonna go with
Dreyfuss
you.
and De Niro.
I'm going to go with you on that as well. Because it's funny and it's sad.
Yeah.
At the same time, that it doesn't matter who you want to vote for, Trump or Biden.
You have idiots on both sides who are completely clueless, out of touch, divisive dumbasses.
Yeah. And this is a perfect example of how Hollywood and celebrities are so far out of touch with the rest of humanity. and how they think they're smarter than the rest of us when they actually prove
that they're
through
dumber
instances like
than
this,
everybody.
yeah, that they're just evil and dumb. They're the racist, they're the misogynists, they're the homophobes. As much as they like to say that about everybody else, they're the
They're
problem.
the problem. So there you go, kids.
All right, we hope you join us next week. We've got a couple albums that are going to break the rules for you. We are going to actually do some retrospective albums. We don't normally do this. We don't like to do live albums. We don't like to do greatest hits albums. But we have got two phenomenal, newly released retrospective works coming out. Number one is Rat Rarities, including the first ever recorded version of Round and Round. We are big Rat fans, so this has live tracks, studio outtakes, that type of thing.
It'll be interesting.
And then Rick Emmett of Triumph. Once he left Triumph, went on his own, put out a couple solo albums. A new retrospective of his solo work called Diamonds is coming out. So we're going to review those two. Take you back in time for 1 week.
Yep. Because there's nothing new coming out.
Yeah, and we're getting kind of depressed about the new music. Just not getting great quality new stuff. And then in 2 weeks, of course, as I mentioned in the past,
Concert.
Styx, Foreigner, and John Waite, our review of that show in 2 weeks. Then movies, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what we find.
Dave will probably finally have a book if he stops playing video games.
Who knows? Jury's out.
And then I will continue to watch Fallout. Maybe I'll even have it done by next week. Who knows?
I will try and get through Tires.
And Outer Range. Did we even talk about Outer Range?
No, I just watched the first episode of season 1. And I know season 2 just dropped or is ready to drop.
Just dropped. Yep.
So I don't know when I will get to that, because when I described that first episode, Mrs. C said, "Oh, I wouldn't mind watching that," which kind of will bring the viewing to a screeching halt for me. And amongst everything else that we're trying to watch.
Yep, and I am through season 1, kind of holding back on season 2. Just, it's a show you've got to be in the mood for. It's very quirky, very odd, very original. But it's one of those shows that really, for me, and I'm not a binge guy, this is one you got to sit down and just watch. You can't piecemeal it together.
Yeah, you need the cohesive.
You got to flow through 3-4 episodes minimum at a time. You can't just watch 45 minutes and come back and 4 days later. You can't do it that way. You got to keep the narrative flow going. So we'll have all that and more for you next week. Who knows? We'll have other wonderful tidbits.
Yep, we'll find something to regale you with.
Yep. So in 7 days, we'll be back with your Saturday morning hangover cure. But until then, that is your Uncle Dave.
That's your Uncle Kev.
Say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.